Joining me now is North Carolina Attorney General Josh Stein, the Democratic candidate for governor. Attorney General Stein, thank you for joining us tonight. And before we get started to your governor's race, North Carolina is in the news in the news week as the vice president's first stop in her barnstorming tour of battleground states after the debate. Polls show a tight race between her and Trump in North Carolina, but also in other swing states. What do you think North Carolina is the VP's, and why do you think it's the VP's first stop post-debate?
Because she knows she can win North Carolina, Reverend Sharpton. Polls have her either up 1 point or down 1 point, all within a couple of points. And she's going to work hard and win this state. President Obama won in 2008, and it was the state that most narrowly went for the Republican candidate in both 2012 and 2020. So it is absolutely within reach, and they're going to work hard to win North Carolina. We're excited to have her come to the state.
Now, North Carolina continues its evolution as an electoral battleground. Donald Trump was just there this week. Let me pause 1 minute. We have some breaking news. Vice President Kamala Harris is on the move in the battleground state of Pennsylvania. She's taking a break from her debate preparations. Here she is moments ago taking a walk with her husband. If we get more visuals from the vice president, we will show them to you. Let me go back to the Attorney General. North Carolina, as I said, is evolving as a battleground state with Donald Trump there just this week, his fourth time campaigning in the state. The Harris campaign is obviously focusing a lot of resources on North Carolina, where polls show the vice president has closed with Trump after President Biden trailed him there. The latest polling average out in North Carolina, the courtesy of New York Times, shows a dead tie between Harris and Trump in the state, both candidates at 48%. How does the vice president pull ahead in the Tar Heel state?
Well, the reason why former President Trump has been to North Carolina so many times since his convention is that he knows there is no path to election as president in this 2024 cycle if he loses North Carolina. North Carolina has to be in the Republican column for him to come out on top. That's why it's exciting to see the Vice President Harris, competing so hard here. And what she needs to do is what she's doing all over the country, which is talk to voters about what her priorities are, making sure that folks have a real shot in this economy, a fair shot to make it, to deal with the rising costs and getting good paying jobs, to make sure folks live in safe neighborhoods, that we have secure borders. All the things she's talking about will work here in North Carolina because North Carolina truly is a microcosm of the whole country. And so we're excited to have her come here. Of course, I'm applying for a different job. I'm applying to be governor of North Carolina. And so I have to make my own case to the voters of North Carolina about the choice that they face, which is incredibly stark between my opponent, the Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson, and me. This is a guy who just fights the culture wars that only serve to divide us and kill jobs, whereas I've been fighting for people as their attorney general, and before that as a state senator for the past 16 years. And I've got a record of keeping families safe, fighting for people's health care, better public schools, defending their personal freedoms, the right to vote, and women's right to choose.
Now, staying with North Carolina, which currently has a ban on abortion after 12 weeks, with exceptions for rape and incest, a Democratic group just released a recording of your opponent in the governor's race, which you just mentioned him in the culture wars. Republican Lieutenant Governor, I might say, Mark Robinson, who supports the ban, saying he'd like to get North Carolina's abortion restrictions down to 0 weeks. Robinson has a history of inflammatory statements, which Democrats hope will help their chances down ballot in the states. What's your reaction to this one? I've, in the last month, preached in North Carolina and Winston-Salem and did rallies in Greensboro, and I'm hearing a lot of feedback and concern about Mr. Robinson's views.
Yeah, he is so extreme. He's beyond extreme. He is at the fringe of the Republican Party. He wants a total ban on abortion. Absolutely no exceptions, not for rape, not for incest, not even to save the life of the mother. And don't take my word for it, take his word. He just was recorded last week saying he wanted to go from 12 weeks to 6 weeks and then down to 0. He says for him, there's no compromise on abortion. He recorded himself and posted on Facebook that women have abortions because they can't keep their skirts down and they keep wanting to run to the club every Friday night. I mean, it's just despicable and disrespectful. And abortion is on the ballot in North Carolina because if the Republican legislature has a Republican governor, he will sign whatever further restrictions they enact, and women's rights will completely be at risk.
Now, last week, Donald Trump addressed a conference of Jewish Republicans, reiterating his unfounded claims that Israel would cease to exist under a Harris presidency and that Israel's war in Gaza would never have begun had he been president on October 7th. He said this, of course, just days after the bodies of 6 Israeli hostages, including an Israeli American, were recovered in Gaza, a tragedy the president and vice president both condemned. Take a listen.
Harris-Biden administration has sought to cast blame for these deaths on Israel. They have not been your friends. I don't understand how anybody can support them. And I say it constantly. If you had them to support and you were Jewish, you have to have your head examined. They've been very bad to you.
As a Jewish American Democrat, what's your reaction to Trump's criticism?
To say that all Jews should believe one thing or all Jews believe another thing is to traffic in anti-Semitic tropes. And that is what his endorsed candidate here in North Carolina has done. Mark Robinson has said the most vile things about Jewish people. He has said the Holocaust was hogwash. He said Black Panther was created by Jews to take the shekels out of Black people's pocket, except for he used a Yiddish slur in his post. He has said that Jews are one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. Just absolutely awful things. And he has never apologized for his anti-Semitic statements. Obviously, Jews will do what every American does, which is to vote for the candidate that individual person believes is going to give their family the best shot for a brighter future. That's the kind of campaign we're running here in North Carolina. And obviously, this race is neck and neck. It always is in North Carolina. We need all the help we can get. And if folks out there want to learn more or help, they can go to joshstein.org.